Okay. So I have a dilemma in how this engine is running. And it is down to, okay, so this is Ron Francis chassis harness. PCM has been retuned, reprogrammed to eliminate PATs, and that's been verified. That PATs is not, the passive anti-theft is not on the computer anymore. A tune through a Diablo Sport tuner has been installed on the PCM. So what is happening is you turn the key to run, and I get power to everything. And I've checked. If you listen closely, the wind noise might make it hard to hear, but you turn the key to run, the CCRM clicks on, double clicks the fuel pump relay on, which engages the fuel pump relay. I've checked with my test light, I get power to everything. And that stays, except the fuel pump relay, it clicks on and off. Now if I start it, it fires up. The fuel pump doesn't turn back on, runs out of fuel and dies. Now, what I've done is hook a switch up, and this switch here is hooked up with this wire. Let's start over from where the wire's hooked up. So, orange wire here, that is the fuel pump relay control wire, which is on the Ron Francis instructions. They tell you to cut that wire and then connect your EFI, which is this wire here from the PCM, which is 12 volt switch to fuel pump PCM controlled wire, which is the green wire with yellow stripe. I've connected a little extension to it. I've connected that to the same size. So that wire, when you turn the ignition switch on, that I've checked with my test light, clicks on, sends power signal to that orange wire, clicks the fuel pump relay on. Now that after you run it, if I keep my my test light on it, it does not light back up. So it never gets another signal from the PCM to tell the fuel pump relay to click back on. So what I've done is I've hooked up this switch, and this switch has the other end of this wire that you cut. I've now attached another jumper to the switch, so I can manually turn that fuel pump on myself. Now, if I turn the key to run, fuel pump energizes. Turn the car on, immediately switch the switch, engine stays running. Fuel pump is running. You could probably even hear it. If you come back here, well, hard to hear, but you can actually hear, there's a buzzing. Now, I can turn it off with the ignition switch, or if I turn off the fuel pump, I've turned off fuel pump, switched it back, it runs out of fuel, it dies. Now, I have checked the ignition switch. It stays power on whatever circuit it's supposed to stay on the whole entire time. I have the orange wire from the Ron Francis kit, which is the coil wire, connected to the red wire with green stripe that's connected to Ron Francis coil wire. That gets a signal the whole time. That gets 12 volt the whole entire time. I have this blue wire. This blue wire, though, is for cranking. So it's like in a system where you would need power to crank it. That's what this one is done. Now, Now what I'm thinking is, maybe, talking through this, maybe the blue wire is supposed to connect to the PCM, to the coil. And I think I tried that. I think I tried to connect both wires. So it's almost like that coil wire needs to go. That wouldn't be right. It needs to get a signal. It needs to get a signal from the PCM. It's the PCM, if what it comes down to, PCM to me is not sending a signal after the engine fires to the fuel pump relay to tell it to click back on. That's what it seems like. Now the only other thing that maybe I could see here is that that blue wire is supposed to go to the, but then see, no, because then the blue wire is going to run out of power as soon as you come from start back to you're going to run out of power to the PCM. So that wouldn't work. Never mind. Yeah, this is a PCM control issue. In my opinion, going through that, what it comes down to for me is a PCM controlled issue. There is no problem with the other things on the engine and them running because the engine stays running. What I think is that something in the PCM is not controlling. So I don't know. A lot of people, I posted a video before I had hooked up the fuel pump, and they said, oh, it's the PAT system. But it's been verified through the tuner that the PAT system is been disabled in the tune. I can see that myself, but he opened up the file that I sent to him from the tuner and said, nope, it's been disabled. So there's something else in the chain of whatever happens causing the PCM to not realize it's running, the engine's running, to send a signal back to the fuel pump relay. That I don't know. That's the question. What is it in that chain that needs to send it back to the fuel pump relay? That's what I don't know. Maybe somebody knows out there, but I don't. So.